Hi, and welcome to another edition of We Review Races with Billy and Sam. This is our 20th hotel edition.
You don't know. You're making that up.
This may look a lot like our last video. I'll have you note we changed shirts. Let's jump right into Waco, because we jumped right into Waco.
I mean, if you do two races in a weekend, you end up doing the reviews back to back. Because, I mean, there's no time in between the races to do a review. So
it sounds like an excuse.
So hopefully we remember the right details with the right race. Yeah. That's the problem.
So Waco, that was in North Carolina, right? We
were in North Carolina.
So Waco, Texas. Sorry, guys. Now this was this is the first Waco that has followed a full Ironman. So full Ironman was done on Saturday. This race was delayed until noon to give people a chance to sleep, really, to give the volunteers a chance.
The staff and the volunteers.
To sleep. And then the half was held the next day on Sunday at noon. And so noon to whatever, 8:30 or whenever the last swimmer went in.
So tidbit, 23 people did both?
24, yes.
24, okay.
24 people had signed up for both.
Okay, the dude that was beside me on the rack came and got his bike and left. So I'm thinking he was one of the guys
so,
and he just quit.
23 people might have gone on the finish line.
So 24 people signed up to do the full on Saturday and the half on Sunday. A number of people signed up to do the full on Saturday, and they flew to California to do Oceanside on Sunday, the full Oceanside on Sunday. So this was a rare weekend where you could do two full Ironmans in a weekend, except they canceled the Oceanside race. So you were planning on doing, I mean, I don't know, maybe if you're planning on doing both and they cancel it, you're like, oh, thank God. But I'm guessing that if you've done the logistics and you're there ready.
I can tell you from our experience, I would be not
upset.
Happy.
Yeah. So anyway, so kudos to Ironman. I mean, when we signed up for this race and we signed up for it as a double, we figured that it'd be a 7 a.m., 8 a.m. start just like anything else, and we just wouldn't get very much sleep. For this race, we actually got a fair amount of sleep. In fact, we were sitting around the hotel eating the hotel breakfast, wondering what we should be doing with ourselves before the race. But we can't really speak to check-in because we didn't do check-in the day. But we did get the same Ironman dry bag that we've been getting the other races. This one is yellow and black, which is kind of interesting. I figured they would do some sort of Texas colors. These are Iowa colors.
And I swear they had green. We'll look at the finisher hat later.
But Ironman Waco, so it does have
and that bridge, and we'll talk about that bridge.
So the fact that they've changed away from the red and black where it just says Ironman to the I mean, they've done this for a number of races now, so this is standard, and this is what we come to expect with Ironman. Still appreciate it, because the red and black Ironman bag
I was tired of those.
Yeah, we were tired of getting those. So we set up transition set up in a grass field, which was awesome for us because the weather was great. But I can imagine that if it's raining, that's a yucky.
Just like
So but it was T1 and T2 in the same place, and you set up all your stuff. Memphis at the bike. So, you got anything to add about transition?
This was an interesting. There's a parking lot at transition that is for the hotel, so you're not really allowed to use it. Since it was a noon start, there was a long line to get into transition. Never wait in those. I mean, because all they're going to do is just open the gate. So just find a place to sit and just sit down until they open the gate and let everybody in. It's not like, only one person's allowed in at a time. The line makes a difference.
He's talking about the line to set up your bike in transition.
Yeah,
so, when they open transition for you to go put all your gels and your helmet and all that stuff out. That line. And that line was forever long.
Right? We couldn't figure out why, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But it gives you a chance to talk to people or whatever.
You meet somebody in line.
Transition. This is a fairly spectator-friendly transition and swim finish area, and the finish line is not far away. So I call this a spectator-friendly race.
Sure, for the area, it's all in the central area.
All of that is in one area. You're not going to see your people very much, but we'll come back around to that. So this dude, talk about swim?
All right, so you have to walk the 1.2 miles to the swim start. And they had porta potties there?
They had, yes, porta potties at the swim start and at transition.
And they had water bottles there, which was interesting. By the time it was empty by the time I got there, but and that's on the run course, so maybe that's why they had the water bottles to start off with, because at some point it was a run aid station. But you walk from transition to the swim start, and there was no morning close back area, right?
I feel like there was. Yes, morning close.
Okay. So you can wear shoes.
Yes.
We did not go barefoot that whole time.
Yes, we wore shoes.
Okay, so you wear shoes, and then you get into the swim chute, and you go into a river swim. It is not a river. It might be an actual river.
Yes.
But there was zero current. I did this swim in exactly what I would expect to do a lake swim in.
I mean, to be fair, we had done a race the day before, so usually you're a little slower on the second day. My swim was about a minute and a half faster than I would have expected, so I'm going to call it this much current, but yes, I'm with you. I do not sign up for this race anticipating a Augusta river swim or Chattanooga. I don't know, maybe Chattanooga, because that river wasn't flowing for us either.
Usually Chattanooga's fast though, and then this particular time it was slow. But
so this is not a fast flowing river. So plan on doing 1.2 mile swim. There's nothing else to say about that.
So it's a rolling start. You hop in, you take a right. You go 1.2 miles and you take a right and you get out, and it was stairs to get out, wasn't it? Like temporary stairs or something like that. They did have volunteers helping you out.
Yeah, they were pulling out pretty good.
And so, but I mean, you had no issue going past the stairs. There wasn't any kind of current that was going to wash you past the stairs. Good for spectators because they could see you get into the swim, and then they could just walk the greenway back while you're swimming, and then see you get out of the swim. So I mean, if they're mobile and can, I mean, I'd say that it would be a pretty friendly spectator swim. Of course. I mean, the greenway was super wide. Never saw any issues with people, crowded. So
I had some traffic issues
in the swim
early in that swim. People, I think, were trying to stay. I mean, I was also trying to stay close to those center buoys, which is the center of the channel, which is typically the fastest water. So yeah, I just got into, I don't know, several.
So I stayed. I stayed right at the buoys, and I went right on several of them.
Yeah.
They didn't.
They had the volunteers that kept pushing everybody to pushing on the left side of the buoys.
And at some point, I heard somebody yelling something. And so I just went back to the left because my number was on my swim cap, so I didn't want to get reported for anything.
Trouble.
I really think that you can swim on both sides, and if you could swim on both sides, swim on the right side because everybody else was to the left.
Yeah, the official rule is that in a river swim, the buoys don't matter.
The sight buoys.
The sighting buoys are purely sighting buoys.
The two buoys that matter.
Red buoys, you always have to go to whatever that particular side of them is. But once again, follow. Volunteers don't know everything. But if you get reported for a violation and your day's over, what's that worth? Yeah. So focus on your race.
It's a fairly long distance from the swim exit into transition, and you're running barefoot, and there's a little bit of gravel, and then you end up on the grassy area going to transition. And so you end up with dirty feet by the time you get in transition. So make sure you have a towel or something. If the dirt on your feet bothers you, then make sure you have a towel or something to wipe that off before you put on your bike shoes.
So the bike.
So tell us about the bike.
So Texas, and I don't know if you know this, is windy.
The definition of wind is it's hills that you don't get credit for on your Garmin.
So when you're looking at the profile of this thing, it doesn't look that bad. And when you're looking at the bike course, there's a lot of turns. And sometimes, I swear, I would be biking into the wind, I'd take a hard right, and I would be biking more into the wind. So I'm not sure how the physics of that work. Somebody's going to need to explain to me in the comments. Maybe I'm just a weak rider.
I'll go ahead and explain to you that the last 10 miles are into the wind. Or at least for us, the last 10 miles were straight into the wind. So keep that in mind.
You've seen this course. It's very twisty. The good news was that it was never a constant headwind because you were turning every couple of miles. And also, I don't know what the Texas DOT does, but not roads. That's not fair. I'm sorry. I apologize to the city of Waco because you can do good roads. It's possible. We rode on them. I was complimenting. That was my joke. I don't know if the rest of the state of Texas is aware that Waco has good roads, but you might want to keep it on the DL because they may actually come and take them. Texas roads are terrible. Truly, truly awful. They sell a lot of trucks here because their roads are so terrible. I'm convinced of it.
When they make gasoline here, they have to have the asphalt plants to make this stuff.
Very close. Yeah. Oh, man. So, anyway. I will say that Waco has the best roads I've ever experienced in Texas. That bar is so very low, you could use it to fill up some of the potholes, is actually what we could use that bar for.
But you're not in Waco very much.
No. So as soon as you left the city of Waco, you were back on terrible, awful Texas pavement. I don't know how to say to prepare for that other than don't inflate your bike to 120.
Yep, 90.
Yeah.
90.
For our European friends, that's 6.5.
Maybe even just 6.
So, I don't know what to say about the bike other than that. It was not a super hilly course. There's got some elevation to it. But I'd call it low rollers at best, lots of flat. But you had the wind and the roads kind of offsetting that, so it makes it a much more difficult bike than you would expect given the elevation.
And mind you, this race started at 12:30. We were probably in the water about 1.
Yeah.
Ish. We're biking in the heat of the day.
You are
so
sweltering.
The temperature actually wasn't that bad, in the 70s, maybe low 80s.
Yeah.
So it wasn't in the 90s. Man, if it's in the 90s, you're gonna die. But it was an okay temperature. But since you're biking in the heat of the day, which you're not really used to, because usually you're biking in the morning and then you run.
Yeah, and we're in October, and we're on the downside of that.
Yeah, the temperature's coming down. So you had the heat to deal with, the wind, which is the wind is just so mean because. A hill, you can see the end of it. The wind, you can never see when it's going to end, except
Welcome to biking at the beach.
I know when you get to a turn and you're like, oh, finally I'm going to have a tailwind, and you don't. You just get more wind. So anyway, just be prepared for that. The bike is harder than it looks.
Would
you agree?
Absolutely with that? Fair.
So
also, I feel like we should mention the full Ironman had a problem with somebody throwing out tax.
Yeah. Luckily, all of those bikes picked up the tax for us.
Super nice. I think they came and swept it overnight. I didn't, in the area that we were told the tax were, I didn't see anybody down from that. I saw,
what I did see that I've never seen on a bike course before was. It was this piece of plywood, spray painted on it, Air Tools, in orange. And so what it looked like to me was, you're in this like rural area of wherever we were. I was like, oh, dude must be selling Air Tools up there. And then I get up to the sign, and what it was one of those bike repair stations, like what you would see in downtown or something like that. It had a pump, had all the tools and everything. So, and I think that was the area where somebody threw out the tax. I think it was like hey, y'all gonna throw out tags? We're gonna stick a bike repair station right here.
There you go. So yeah, the lesson there is please make sure you're bringing your tube. You know how to change your tires, and you know that's probably a lesson for any. I mean, you just never know what you're going to hit. So yeah. I always bring one tube and at least a couple CO2s because sometimes you make a mistake or you have an opportunity to help somebody.
We were fortunate to not get flat tires on this race, so that was nice. Anything else on the bike? I mean, you come into transition the exact same way you went out. So bike positioning and transition, if you get close to the bike exit and entrance,
lower number mattered for that, or be very last to sign up, and then they will put you on the back wall.
I mean, we were on the back wall. We weren't close to the entrance and exit. I mean, it was a straight shot.
Yeah.
And probably I liked our bike position much better than other bike positions because you weren't fighting people behind you, and you didn't have the aisle. So that worked out for us, but. I mean, it doesn't necessarily work out for everybody.
Yeah, no, your bike in and your bike out and your run out were the same chute.
You didn't come back in that bike? Where'd you come in?
You came in the swim in. Well, yeah, you came in the swim.
Okay.
Through the parking lot.
Okay, so I guess you don't have.
There was no terrible advantage that I recall, because you absolutely ran out that chute.
Yeah, because you went over the little hump that they had built a ramp or something on, and then went out to the right.
So let's lead straight into the run.
All right, so you get out of transition, and you head out on the run. Mind you, by this time it's 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock or something for us. I mean,
sorry for the slow people.
If
you're in the lead,
you're in the lead, you're already finished, and you're like, oh, why is it so hot, man? I'm not used to running in this heat. But for us, we were going to finish in the dark, so it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which is of note because typically on the run it gets hotter and hotter and hotter as you're running. This run it gets cooler and cooler and cooler. So if you've ever done a full Ironman, this is what the run felt like. It really felt like a full Ironman run in that you started and it was kind of hot, but by the time you finished it was dark and nice and cool. It was a 2-loop run, and there were a lot of hills. There were a lot of steep hills. And so since it's a 2-loop with several out and backs. So you got to see the same people on the course all the time. I started running with Sam, and we were going to finish together. I mean, it didn't matter. And I got a little bit ahead of him. And we were running with a girl from Texas A&M or whatever, and I got a little bit ahead of him, so I started walking so he could catch up. And the Texas A&M girl passed, and I was like, "Hey, where's my brother?" And she was like, "Oh, he's back there helping somebody out." So this was a race that we were able to. I mean, it was a double for us. We were already gassed, so it was never going to be a PR. We got to help out some people on the run, which is always cool because I mean you never know what somebody else is struggling with, and so if you can provide a little bit of sunshine for them. So I kind of, since it's a bunch of out and backs, you kind of get to see where he is. And so they would run together, and I'd kind of run up a little bit, and then they'd catch up. One thing that I did note was there were plenty of people handing out like beer and alcohol and stuff like that. One dude had the bottle of brown liquor, and somebody stopped and chugged that. And I was like, oh, this is not going to end well. Sure enough, half a mile later, we're crossing the bridge, and he's hanging over the side of the bridge, puking his guts out. So it's cool to think that that's cool, but it's not cool. Just don't do it.
No.
The thing that I did not like about the run was it was a 2-loop run, and then you split. Now, if you have on a Garmin watch, at the split you're not close to the finish line. But mentally, you can hear the finish line.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm almost there. You're not almost there. You're not even close to being almost there. You go around a circle, down a ramp towards the river, back up a ramp, across a bridge, over, across another bridge. Then you get to the finish line chute. I mean, it's a good 3/4 of a mile.
Easily.
Maybe even a mile. Forever. No, at the split, you're not fixing to turn and go straight to the finish line. You're not there yet.
No.
But we again we found some people to hang out with. One of the guys that we met in the parking lot beforehand, I was running with him. Sam was running with his girl. And, I mean, I'm running along with my guy, and we're behind Sam and his girl, and all of a sudden Sam pops out, and I'm like, oh, where'd you come from? he had camped down on the side of the line. He's like, oh, we're finishing together. May as well finish together. So that's what we did.
It sounds kind of crazy the way he's saying the finish line, and it's exactly right. It's kind of terrible and worthy of discussion, but you have two U-turns on this course. One of them was in a road. One of them was like in a cul-de-sac, and there's nothing you could do about that. One of them was in a road where you could change the point of that cone. So all of that whole thing was just completely unnecessary. I'm certain it had to do something with that road being open and probably for ambulances or whatever. It's people running across the street. So instead of coming across the iron bridge, suspension bridge, and then just doing a U-turn in the road and going on the other side, which I would have accepted, they had us do all of this other, stupid gradient stuff that was just completely unnecessary. They also found in some of those hills on the back side were just unnecessarily steep given the terrain of the day. I think this run course needs to be reworked.
It was a tough run. It was and did you have to do that thing four times for the full Ironman?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have been pissed if I had to do that thing four times for the full Ironman.
It's not interesting. You're along a river. There's so much that you could do with that, and I don't know. So, no, I'm not impressed. I guess we should probably.
I'm sure that there's a reason they did it that way, and the race director could probably explain it to us. But as a participant, you just look at that and you're like, yeah, that's just not my favorite run course.
No.
So finish line. So, mind you, finishing at night, and as you're coming into the finish line, blinding lights shining on you because they're filming you as you come in, and so basically you're trying not to trip over anything. But anyway, finishing at night, and that was actually pretty cool. I mean, kudos to Ironman for thinking about their staff and thinking, hey, if we're going to do two of these races in a row, we need to give them some time.
Maybe
to
let's not
rest.
let them finish it.
But anyways, the medal's pretty cool. It has a fair amount of engraving and stuff on it. So that's pretty cool. Gold and yellow, which doesn't match the yellow and black or whatever, and then they have green and yellow for the Wacos.
We're not really sure what the colors.
We don't know. They didn't do color coordinated stuff on this. But just like North Carolina that we had done the day before. No finisher on the hat and none of the this sparkly green stuff or whatever. So that was interesting. If you're going to make it a finisher hat, then I think it should say finisher on there. I'm good with them not putting the year on it because
this year I'm okay. This year with it, given all the COVID stuff.
So, but 2022, you should start having.
There's no excuse for next year. You got a score for this race?
So they had finish line food.
Finish line
plenty of pizza, full pizzas, as much as you wanted, and they were bringing them in fresh. So if you finished late like we did, you had the opportunity to still get fresh pizza, not the old leftover stuff from the people who finished earlier. Other was it Subway sandwiches? It was some kind of sub sandwiches. We didn't have that. It had some pizza.
Mayo on it.
There seemed to be plenty of room for people to spread out. There weren't really
not a lot
seats.
of chairs, not tables. So there was plenty of room for everybody to sit on the ground, which is something you really want to do right after a full a half. I don't know. I'm assuming the full was the same way. But.
And it's in the dark, so you don't really know what you're sitting on. But whatever. There was actually space. They didn't. I mean, some places they'll just hand you a bag of stuff and
that guy ever forgive you for sitting on him?
Did I sit on somebody?
You said you didn't know what you were sitting on.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to make a joke.
He made for it. He made for a good chair, though. I'm trying to help you out.
I appreciate it, man. All right. So you got a score for us?
Yeah, I got to give it a 5. I mean, that the billing it as a river swim and no current kind of makes you you know, not like the swim. The bike, I think, was fine. I didn't like the wind. I mean, Ironman can't do anything about the wind.
No, that's not
there were a couple of U-turns on the bike that I didn't like, but I'm not taking off too many points for the bike. I am taking off points for the run because the way that the finish was set up it just seemed like there was a better way to do that.
Okay, so 5.
5.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Oh no.
So let's review. We oversold the swim with a river swim.
Yeah.
Just call it a straight swim or whatever. Bike roads are terrible, and I know that going into it. I will not do this race again. I mean, I'm just saying that. In fact, of the Texas races I've done, I've not wanted to do any of them again. So.
But you did Buffalo Springs twice, man.
Yeah, that's a whole different reason. Please see our other video on how to get into the World Championships.
Yeah.
And then the run was just not great. So I would give it a lower score. I'm artificially inflating it because I feel like that was a second day, so I'm going to give it a full extra half a point just to compensate for it being a second day. It's not like I was tired or cranky or anything. We got plenty of sleep.
Yeah.
I'm giving a full point award to starting at noon. This is the first race we've done with that, and it was awesome. It really recreates the Ironman experience of crossing at night.
The full Ironman.
The full Ironman. Of course, Ironman always puts on a good race. It is a very professionally done thing, and so. You probably should award points for that, but I'm going to rank this as an Ironman race and just say that the course just needs to be rethought or resold. Just put it in the right context. I think the run course can be rethought. Overall, I'm going to say disappointing race.
So this doesn't bode well, man. You haven't liked any Texas race that we've done so far. And we have a few more Texas races to do on our calendar.
With this race director. Hope he doesn't watch.
I mean, by the time that this gets out there, we'll probably be done with all of them.
That's true. Well, thanks, Sid. Sydney, if you could just hold on to this one, we'll have the special reserve stock of races we didn't like until after we've
finished everything, gotten everybody to sign their paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good to know.
So stay tuned.
So are you officially not recommending this race?
I'm officially not recommending this race as a, and unless you just want to come to Waco, which was cool. Waco was a cool town, and I would happily come back to Waco.
But there's better races.
There's much better races I put up there.
All right, there you have it.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for race stories. I'm sure we have plenty.